play some relatively off-meta decks on this channel, so I have gone through and ranked them this season based on the amount of cubes they earn to me. Nobody really talks about these kind of decks. Most of them are my homebrews, but they do surprise people a lot of the time, so they give me some surprise cube wins. First off, we have what I call Prowling Spells. Now, this is a deck that I made when Prowler released, and I do have it up on my channel, I believe. It is more so about just getting a bunch of spells and then having other characters that proc off of them. So we have the Werewolf Merlin combo in here. Bishop. The idea really is to generate spells from Merlin, Clear, and Prowler, and then be able to just play them one-cost spells. Joaquin did get a buff since I made this deck, which is quite nice, to trigger off Merlin spells, the possible Hawkeye arrow as well, then the Prowler spells. Also, along with Deafening Chord and Hood, Deafening Chord is great because it's just a great card anyway, but it's a one-cost spell, so it already triggers from Joaquin. Nicholas makes use of it as well as Werewolf. Marvel Boy is mainly in here for Clear. Then you also have Nicholas and the Hood as well, which can definitely make good use of the Marvel Boy procs. I think the one thing that you could probably swap is Kahori. It's just that often your hand is quite full of cards, so Kahori can be pretty good. I think that Devil Dinosaur could also be pretty good because you fill your hand with things. You can always play some of the characters that fill your hand with more cards at the end of the game, and then that way it doesn't feel as like unfair, I suppose, when you're just getting all these spells and things on the last turn when you can't use them. So that is a good alternative. Next up, second highest cube earner is Afflict and Destroy. So this deck was actually one that I played recently. And I should add that I'm basing these off of amount of games played compared to amount of cubes won, otherwise it would probably just be the deck that I played the most. Afflict and Destroy is pretty good. It's a very complicated deck to pilot. I did make it recently. I've kind of like blended a few ideas together. I did afterwards run into a deck that ran Firehair, Cassandra, Phoenix Force to bring it back. Then they destroyed it again and then brought it back with Elixir. I don't have quite that extent of crazy plays here. It's mainly focused around bringing Dormammu into play. You can have a few opportunities to get all of the Dormammu spells off. Uncle Ben obviously is the best card to play early to destroy. Other than that, Kid Omega into playing something else. Usually it doesn't feel great to destroy something like a Carnage with Kid Omega, but it works because it brings out Dormammu. And a lot of the time you don't necessarily need to destroy many things on the board. There's like Uncle Ben and Marrow, probably the only two things you're wanting to aim to destroy. But you can always save those for the final Dormammu spell. Other than that, it's all just Afflict stuff, so the Diamondback with the Dormammu spell as well, with the Laufey, and then there's the Marrow procs. You can always destroy Marrow, bring it back into Phoenix Force, destroy it again with like the Venom to keep the stats. That's a good play. But the one playline that might catch you off, because it did catch me off as well, was playing Marrow, killing it, putting it in a Dormammu spell, adding it to Dormammu's power, then technically it doesn't exist in the destroy pile, so Phoenix Force can't bring anything back. Destroying Laufey is a good one as well. That seemed to get me some good plays. But other than that, I would suggest probably watching my Fastball special video on how I managed to play it, because it's a little bit of a confusing one. So next up we have one that I haven't really showcased on my channel because there hasn't necessarily been a big new card come out for this archetype. It's just kind of consistently good and keeps pulling in good cube rate games, is Scream. So kind of just basic. You got your Captain America, your Batroc with Kraven, they're bouncing around everywhere. Then you have all the Scream combos with the Scream move cards. I teched in Shang-Chi because people don't expect Shang-Chi in this meta, and it's very good. Juggernaut is still kind of busted. And then I put the Mercury Cannonball in here, which kind of makes things a little bit more complicated, because if you're playing Mercury, you then can't move something. But a play like Mercury Cannonball is a little too strong. You play Mercury, you can move it into Kraven. There's a couple of other plays where it works. Feel free to remove this combo if you don't find it working for you, because you can probably throw a couple of other move cards in here to get that working a little bit differently. I can't guarantee whether it's better or worse without testing a whole bunch of games, but this is the third deck. Now for the fourth deck. This is another video that I did. Has matched the thumbnail, I believe, and it's quite fun. It's more or less just a Wiccan deck hybrid with a Hazmat Afflict deck. So the idea is you get Quicksilver and Domino, they're your only 1 and 2 cost cards, you play those turn 1, turn 2. Then other than that, you have a whole bunch of 3 cost cards, so it's extremely unlikely you don't have a 3 cost card to play on turn 3. Then Wiccan turn 4. Malekith is even better here because you don't have any 1 cost or 2 cost to pull with Malekith. So yeah, 1, 2 or 3 cost. So it will always pull a 3 cost card. If it pulls Luke Cage, perfect. The enemy can't really counter it. If it pulls Red Guardian, hopefully they have something like Dracula in their lane. If it pulls a Chameleon, Chameleon's fun because you just play like a Hazmat in the lane where it pulled it, and then when it gets revealed, it copies Hazmat's effect. Diamondback, still great, just like Luke Cage. And Rogue is, well, a bit of a rogue one. It's not necessary, but there's quite a lot of little ongoing things out there that kind of allow your opponent to play crazy things. You could always replace it with something else. Wiccan Malekith makes sense, Anti-Venom also makes sense, and then you have your Ajax. And then if you Wiccan, turn 5, you have 7 power, so you can always play like a Malekith or Anti-Venom with a 3 cost card. And then turn 6, play an Ajax with 3 cost card as well. It feels very smooth to play, and for that it's probably one of the more fun decks that I have for sure. Next up is Rotten Smooth. Now, this might just look like a Zombie Horde deck on paper, but then you start to look closer and you notice Toxin is in here. I did a video on this one as well, and the idea is you Toxin the Zombie Horde after you play it early, then trigger something else that triggers Zombie Horde, and it will create a Zombie Horde at a location. Then you play your Zombie Horde down afterwards, and everything going forward will then buff both Zombie Hordes. It's a very nice little interaction that I don't think many people really utilize. And we have Superior Spider-Man in here. It's like one of the newer cards. It's very good for cheating out energy. That could be replaced with Magic if you feel like you need more time to try and get the combo off more frequently. And then Valkyrie's in here as well, because Valkyrie is a very, the card isn't expected by anybody, I don't think. And it just silences a lane, and if you play on top of a full side that you have, and a full side the opponent has, but you have something like Angela, or a Zombie Scarlet Witch with a Horde, you'll always win it, unless they have something like Luke Cage, or they go second and they buff the whole side, or they have a Blue Marvel, but you get my point. More than most of the time you would win that. Again, this is a very fun one, and I think it might even get better when things like Lockheed and that come out. I might definitely have to go back to this deck to try it out a little bit more. So next up we have the second best deck, and I think honestly this is a testament mainly to something like Galactus. But the idea here is you sort of play 1 card in either lane. Also have another video on this deck, believe it or not. Whether that's like a Frankie Ray and an Agony, or Frankie Ray and Maverick on 2 different lanes. And then you end up buffing them with Wong Namora, or if you have a Symbiote Spider-Man, there's a lot of different lines. You picture this, Frankie Ray, Wong, into Black Panther on Zola. Frankie Ray doesn't do anything crazy, but you have 2 giant Black Panthers. You can also Agony 1 lane, Frankie Ray another lane, Wong Namora into Odin, Then you have an insane Frankie Ray. Or even if you just Maverick for a Galactus lane. Something as simple as that can win you the game. Or even buffing something to be huge, using Fastball to throw it at the enemy, and then play Galactus. I believe I've added Fastball to this deck since I showcased it. This was probably Awesome Andy before, if I had to hazard a guess, I think it was. And then before Maverick came out, it used to be Lasher. But Maverick just works 10 times better in this deck than Lasher does. Awesome Andy is still probably better than Fastball, but Fastball makes the Galactus plays more fun. So pick and choose with those ones, I think. Other than that, this deck, second best cube rate, and I think I can understand why. You can surprise the opponent with what you end up doing here. And last and definitely not least is Evolve. Now this is a deck that I did my first return to YouTube video on, and I think I titled it Free Cubes, and honestly it kind of was Free Cubes and still is. It has a lot of different play lines that just make it a really fun and smooth deck to play. Merlin, you really want Polymorph to get the Hood or Sentry or even Rhino, or like once in future as well for Hood or Rhino. Bishop, Mysterio and Sasquatch is a very underused combo, I think. You were to play something like Bishop, then Mysterio Merlin. Next turn your Sasquatch costs 2, and a 2/10 is pretty good. But I think the star of the show, as much as I want it to be Cersei, Cersei does really pull her weight here and surprises a lot of players. If you were to play Sentry, a lot of people think that you're going to Annihilus the other lane, so they just fill it. If you then Cersei the Hood lane and get a free 5 drop, it's pretty good. But the unsung hero is Shadow King, and honestly, this meta Shadow King is doing crazy things, and you can swap it for any tech card you want really, but I still think Shadow King is probably the best bet. And that wraps it up for my top decks this season of Cube Stealers. If you guys want any advice on any cards to swap out, please let me know. And I think go for whichever deck you feel like you want to play the most. All of these have positive win rates. This is just stats from me playing them. They're not exactly like meta decks or anything. I have had a couple of decks which have flopped and they're not in here. These are all positive win rate and positive cube rate, above positive cube rate for a few of them. They surprise the meta, and I think that's partially why they get a lot of cubes. But yeah, that's about it. If you did like this video, please drop a subscribe for these cute little puppies I have on the screen here. It helps a tremendous amount, and I appreciate it more than you guys know. And that's about it from me, so thanks in advance, and I will speak to you all next time.